All right, let's dive in. We're about to explore the absolutely fascinating process of melting silver. We're going to see what happens when you take this solid, ancient metal and put it through some incredible forces of transformation.
So it really all boils down to this one kind of poetic question, right? What happens when you turn solid metal into liquid light? I mean, how do you even do that? That's the mystery we're going to unravel together.
But before we can crank up the heat, we really have to get to know our subject, silver. This isn't just some random element on the periodic table, you know. It's a metal that has absolutely captivated us for millennia. It's woven deep into our history and even our technology.
And here's why it's so special. I mean, sure, we all know it's a precious metal, a symbol of wealth. That's the obvious stuff. But its real value? That's rooted in pure physics. Get this. It has the highest electrical and thermal conductivity of any metal out there, and the highest reflectivity, which is exactly why it has that brilliant shine. So it's not just beautiful, it's incredibly useful.
Okay, so how do we actually start this transformation? Well, it all begins with a journey into the crucible. That's the vessel where all the magic and, yeah, the science is about to go down.
Now, on the surface, the process looks pretty simple, but it demands some serious precision. First, you got to prepare your scrap. Could be old coins, jewelry, whatever. A little bit of borax usually gets tossed in as a flux, which is just a fancy way of saying it helps pull out any gunk and gives you a cleaner pour. Then you heat the crucible, melt the silver, and finally, you pour that glowing liquid.
And believe me, this is not a casual thing you do on a Sunday afternoon. It's like an elemental dance between fire and metal. You need that intense, focused heat, blasted right at the crucible. You're basically concentrating a crazy amount of energy into one tiny spot, all to force a fundamental change of state.
So what's really going on inside that fiery pot? Let's zoom in and look at the science, right down to the atomic level.
Okay, look at this number, 1763 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the magic number. It's the exact point where solid silver just gives up. It surrenders and starts to melt. I mean, just pause for a second and think about how incredibly hot that actually is. To give you some perspective, your oven at home, cranked all the way up, maybe hits 500 degrees. That's it. Even a metal like aluminum melts at a temperature that's more than 500 degrees cooler than silver. So yeah, to get this hot, you need some serious specialized gear.
So here's what's happening when we hit that temperature in what's called the molten state. All that heat energy just bombards the silver atoms. Normally they're locked together in this tight, rigid crystal structure, but the heat forces those bonds to just break. The atoms start vibrating like crazy, sliding past each other and flowing freely. And all that intense energy has to go somewhere, right? It gets released as light. And that's it. That's how the metal becomes a glowing miniature sun.
Okay, so we've done it. We've turned a solid into a liquid. We've literally created light from metal. So now we can finally answer that question from the beginning. What happens next? Well, this is where pure potential turns into reality.
Think about it. In this molten state, the silver is basically a blank canvas. It has no form, no shape. It's just pure liquid potential, waiting for you to give it a new purpose, a new identity.
So one thing you can do with this liquid potential is give it structure. You can pour it into a mold, let it cool, and stamp it. And just like that, it's a timeless silver bar, a trusted store of value, a real tangible asset you can hold right in your hand.
Or you could take another path entirely. That exact same liquid can be carefully poured and crafted into, say, a unique piece of jewelry, a wearable work of art. It's the same material, but it's been transformed by intention into something deeply personal, something beautiful.
You know, when you step back and look at the whole thing, from start to finish, it really feels like it's more than just chemistry, doesn't it? It's almost like alchemy, an ancient secret that's been hiding in plain sight all this time.
And maybe that is the real secret. I love this quote. It just captures it perfectly. The process of melting and reshaping silver, it isn't really just about the metal. It's about tapping into that deep human need we all have to create something.
So, I have to ask you, after seeing a solid chunk of metal turn into flowing light and then become something completely new, do you think it's just a chemical reaction? Or is there maybe a little bit of actual magic in that transformation?
At the end of the day, this is the heart of it all.
Whether you're melting down some old scrap metal or a piece of forgotten jewelry, the whole process is about profound renewal. You're taking something old, or maybe something that has no shape at all, and using intense energy and focus to turn it into something new, valuable, and beautiful.
And that really leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? We've seen that transformation, real transformation, requires heat, it requires energy, and it requires intention. So the real question isn't just about silver anymore. It's about us. It's about you. What are you ready to create?